Hello, this is Dalton Bennett. Here we are going to be talking about blog number 2 of the Create framework, more specifically the cognitive complexity. The tool that I'm going to be talking about and that I have used today is called Infogram. Infogram is a digital tool. It's used to display and organize statistical data in a more advanced and engaging way. It is also a platform that allows for displaying cross-content learning and allows for the student to arrange information in such a way that meets their specific needs, or more specifically, the point or the argument that they're getting across with their data. So exactly how are infographics helpful? I think the top point that can be made is that they have the option to be universal, meaning that when we use icons and imagery that people can understand that sort of break that barrier of language, then your infogram can reach a wider audience. Another option is with proper design, they can become more memorable and they can keep a viewer's attention. Infogram offers an array of options for ways to go about displaying your statistical data, but also it allows for an array of options for integration of cross platforms, such as including YouTube or Vimeo or whichever or Vimeo, excuse me. But it also allows for different colors. You can arrange your data in sort of a hierarchical platform as to, making something bigger to emphasize more importance, and then or making something smaller. Depending on how you want your information to get across, I think adds into that cognitive complexity that a student needs to exercise because, again, not only are they having to kind of shift through information that's going to uphold their argument, but also how they go about displaying that information is another step that they're going to have to exercise, because you can't just throw everything onto a poster. You need to be able to arrange it in such a way from top to bottom, and side to side, that's going to be easy to read for your viewer, but also get your point across. This goes into my last option here, which states that they are easy to digest simply because they are more streamlined. If your infogram is has a flow to it, people are going to be able to read it easier and be able to understand it and take that information with them. Okay, so before we jump into the strategy and the real world aspect of our topic, excuse me, we are going to take a look at Infogram and all of its capabilities. So here's just my dashboard. Infogram is not just a poster making platform. There are various formats such as slides and social media ads that you can create with Infogram. Over here, again, we have my profile. We have any other projects that I would have created, but we have analytics. So if you make your poster or your presentation public, Infogram, if you have the premium subscription, will track the analytics as to how many people have looked at your infogram, kind of where it's traveled, and all that good stuff. Much like other platforms that we've talked about and other digital tools, Infogram does have the option or have the collaborative installment there where you can invite people into your design and collaborate with those people. Branding is simply if you have sort of a common theme amongst all your designs or information or whichever, you can store that in branding. That way, when you go to make multiple or make more in the future, it's a little easier. All that information is kind of in one section. And then content library is not necessarily your posters or whatever you've made, but it's more so any images you've uploaded, any other icons or statistics or whatever that you've uploaded that you want to easily access later. You can kind of create your own library, which I think is extremely resourceful. All right, so we're going to jump into my student example here really quickly. And before we talk about this student example, I want us to jump on over to what exactly the instruction was. So students are tasked with understanding the relationship between poverty and homelessness. More specifically, they are tasked with choosing a location, a city in the world in which they want to analyze homelessness, but also kind of how poverty affects that as well. Once they are, have chosen that topic and whichever, they are then given the freedom to investigate, again, trends of homelessness in that community, then present their information in the form of an infogram. Collectively, students will analyze each other's data and brainstorm possible solutions. And this might be difficult because, a solution may differ per city to city, but students can examine the information that they've collected from various cities around the world or within their community or whichever, and then they can begin to sort of digest and break down that information to a more common theme of homelessness across the world. So again, looking at bits of information, yes, the statistics are going to be different, but what are some commonalities amongst all of these reports that students have created? And then from there, can begin to brainstorm. Maybe they're noticing that it's affecting a race majority amongst the world. Maybe they need to create initiatives targeting those specific races, whether it's educational programs to getting people out of these situations or however that might be. So again, just because your infogram is displaying information doesn't mean that you can't use that information and take it a step forward. As I just mentioned, students will need to differentiate relevant information and organize their findings in a streamlined, easy to read format. This real world topic of poverty and homelessness connects social issues in one's community to those around the world. So again, students can understand not only homelessness around the world, but the trends within their own community. And again, find those commonalities and then begin generating those ideas as to what direction needs to be taken to better alleviate this social issue. And again, social issues affect everybody. We've all been exposed to these. So I think understanding a social issue is what's going to connect them to the real world. All right, so we're going to hop back over here to my student example. So I just chose Louisville, Kentucky. That is currently where I live. So what I've started off with was understanding the three types or three major trends of homelessness. So I sort of have a flow chart addition here. Now again, over to the right here, minus your text options, I'll really quickly show you all the different graph options to display your information. If you're seeing us at students are picking cities around the world, they can use these maps here. Again, a lot are premium, but there are some that are free. Here is where you can choose how you want to display your images, such as a flowchart, which I've shown here. But there are diagrams. There are fun little animated callouts here, notes, timelines, etc. I can add my icon. This is where it could become universal. But there's also little video clips or GIFs that you can use as well, and then shapes, which I've used through here. So my flowchart here states 3 degrees of homelessness. We have transitional, chronic, and episodic. And I've kind of just took the initiative to make these little shapes down here to kind of organize my information, my definitions. From there, you scroll down, and I've divided my middle piece of this to poverty and homeless statistics of Louisville, Kentucky between 2018 and 2020. So here I've noted that a lot of this information is pulled from the Coalition of the Homeless for Louisville, as well as the Unsheltered Homeless Initiative report for Louisville, Kentucky as well. So here I've chosen a few diagrams. I've made some bigger, some smaller. This is a great example as to how students can choose how to display their information in terms of relevancy, but also the impact. So here it says 60.51%. Anything above 50% seems alarming. But I've noted here that it's not necessarily Louisville as a whole, but it's a specific zip code within Jefferson County. And I chose that because I wanted to show that, yes, 60% of Louisville is not experiencing poverty or homelessness or whichever, but there are portions of that community that are kind of in that endangered zone. And here we've talked about chronic and non-chronic. And then down here, I've noted that 15.9% of Louisville's total population is below that poverty line. Here's another example of that hierarchical organizing. I've made 139 the biggest number here. And then to the side here, I've noted other trends in previous years. But 139 homeless individuals were predicted to be sleeping outside in any given moment on 2020. This is also a really, really cool tool that I love. Is sort of this diagram of people representing percentages, and as I hover over them you can see that it changes here. So definitely an animated little tool here, but again I noted a percent population based on race, and then percent of homelessness taken on from a survey of almost 7,000 people based on race as well. So again, we can make these comparisons between poverty and race, and then those of them experiencing poverty who are actually experiencing homelessness as well. So again, you can alter the size of your infogram. Mine's fairly long because I have quite a bit of information here, but we can go to settings and adjust our size here, or we can have multiple pages to our infogram. Again, these aren't just something that you print out and have a hard copy, but you could display on a digital platform. And again, there's animation, there's videos, there's engagement with your infogram, which is another reason why I like this particular topic. So again, this real world topic of poverty and homelessness, I think students engaging within their community or within a specific city and understanding the statistics is better going to prepare them for not only this social issue, but understanding social issues that they may experience later on in their life. Really quickly, I do have some alternatives to Infogram. Pictochart.com, PicMonkey.com, and Canva.com all offer similar platforms, as well as interactive infograms as well. Again, this is blog number 2, Cognitive Complexity. My name is Dalton Bennett. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I will place more information next to this posting regarding this information. Thanks for watching.